This seems crazy to me now, but I used to think that I had to meditate every single day in order to see any benefits. Or at least like Monday through Friday, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't stick to this rigid schedule, then I was a failure. I used to be one of those people that would always just say like,
I'm not good at meditating, like I can't concentrate, like
this and that, this and that. That's how I used to identify with meditation. But one of the most powerful things that I learned is that meditation and habits in general, they don't have to be all or nothing. I think as a society, we put these expectations on what these habits are supposed to look like because, you know, we see all these morning routines and we see all these like, be that it girl and like the 5 a.m. club and all this kind of stuff that puts the expectation of what that should look like. I just started embracing the mindset that habits can be tools that you put on your tool belt and you take them out when you need them the most, and this mindset has changed so much for me. That pressure that I used to have to stick to those really rigid routines when it came to things like meditation and journaling or even working out. So I want to break this down a little bit more and talk about the types of habits and how I use them as tools. I think a much more sustainable approach for me is putting my habits into two different categories, and I wanted to break down my mindset behind that and how I break it down so it feels more balanced and it just feels way more approachable for me instead of this all or nothing mindset. Like I'm not a journaling kind of person, I'm not a meditation kind of person. I hope that it can help someone else out there that wants to incorporate these things in their life but maybe is putting a lot of pressure on what that is supposed to look like for them. But first, let's touch on the all or nothing mindset, because I feel like having this mindset, and I've talked about this when it comes to like chasing your goals or like why people quit their goals by February. I've done a video on that and I talked about that all or nothing mindset, and I gave a great example in there. Well,
I mean, I think it's a great example.
About like if you're driving somewhere and you hit a speed bump, like you're not going to just go back home. You're going to slowly go over the speed bump and get to your destination. And like the all or nothing mindset is like seeing that speed bump and then just turning around and going back home and then throwing your plans out the window. And so when it comes to creating new habits and routines, when you have this all or nothing mindset, it sets you up for failure in so many ways because you're putting expectations on, you're putting pressure on, instead of like just coming from a space of like, I'm learning a new habit and I'm seeing how this fits into my life. I'm seeing if I even like it. I'm seeing what doing this habit sustainably looks like for me. That's just such a more relaxed way to approach habits and morning routines, you know? So I don't know if you realized it, but like that all or nothing mindset, I'm not a fan, okay? I'm not a fan. Don't believe that it's serving us in these areas. When it comes to like habits and goals and all that kind of stuff, and I know someone can argue like all or nothing with your goals, like you're all in, like there's no plan B, Like I get that mindset, but I think what I'm talking about here is different. It's like when something happens, when a setback happens, when you're reaching your goals, when an obstacle is in your way, then you throw in the towel. That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the mindset of going all in on your goals and not having a plan B and like it's already written for you. It's already like written in the sand that this is yours. I am fully behind that whole mindset. But when it comes to like throwing in the towel because things don't look perfect or there's an obstacle, no, the all or nothing, it's gotta go. Another thing that I think is really important when you're working towards creating new habits or routines is just removing guilt and shame from the equation. You will never be able to create a new sustainable habit if you are attaching so much guilt and shame to it because you're not doing it how Sally Sue does it. Or you're not able to do it every single day of the week because you have a really busy schedule. Like, it's just, you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself, first of all. So we need to reel it back, get realistic, evaluate what season of life that we're in, remove the guilt and the shame from it because we're learning something new, so it's not going to look perfect. And this is a lesson that I am still learning and I am still working through, but I just think that there is so much value in learning how to remove guilt and shame from so many areas of our life and allowing ourselves to just exist as the person who is trying to find what works best for them. Because the thing is, if you are not giving yourself the space to flush it out and see what it's going to look like for you and be willing to say, okay, well, that didn't work for me. Let me try it this way, and not just throw in the towel the minute that you can't stay focused during your meditation. Like, okay, it was really hard for me today. I'm going to try again on a day where I don't have so much on in the afternoon. Like, be willing to put in the effort. Be willing to meet the obstacles and not step into something expecting it to just be easy, like flow and just magically fit into your lifestyle. You really just gotta manage the expectations and not go down a negative self-talk rabbit hole of like, oh, meditation's not for me. You're just like too distracted. Or, like, this is lame. All the things that you want to tell yourself that are gonna help you spiral and just give up altogether. You know, it's just removing that from the equation, and that takes time. Like I said, this is still something that I'm working on. It is a lot easier said than done, but it is possible. So one of the biggest things that has helped me is categorizing my habits. There's something that I call like a fixed habit, and then there's something I call a fluid habit. And my fixed habits are like things that are part of my like day-to-day routine. Like they are in my week-to-week life. And that is stuff like moving my body, like going for walks, like getting in like 2 to 3 strength training sessions a week. Meal prepping is one of the habits that I do weekly. There's lots of things that might go in this category for you, like doing my skincare at night. Like there's lots of habits that I've created that are part of like my weekly fixed habits that I do regularly, that like are part of like my life, you know? And then I have my fluid habits. And my fluid habits are things that ebb and flow with the season of life that I'm in, with what I'm going through, with my schedule, with what I need in that moment. And that's things like meditation and journaling. I would say Pilates is something that is one of my fluid habits. It's not something that I do every single week, but these kind of habits that are in this category are not habits that I do regularly. I do lean on them. They're tools in my tool belt that I take out when I need it. If I'm in a really hectic season, I'm really stressed, like my nervous system is really shot, and I'm in one of those seasons right now. Like life is lifing and it's a struggle, and I'm really battling mentally right now. So that's when I will go in and I will pull those things out of the tool belt. Like, okay, maybe we need to start adding like meditation into the week, like once a week, like just to start off the week. I use the Meditation Minis podcast. I swear by this. I used to identify as someone that does not do meditation well. Like I just can't. It's so hard. I've tried in the past. I used to identify as that person until I found this podcast. I'm going to do a whole video on like podcast recommendations, and this will definitely be on that list. They're just short and sweet, and her voice is so calming. I just love them, and I think you just got to put in the work to find what's going to work for you. I say that about meditation, but I say that about all habits, all things, you know what I mean? So meditation is one of those things that I ebb and flow with. It's not a fixed habit. It's not something I regularly do, and I do want to do it more, but I do like having it as a fixed habit, because in the past I've tried meditation. Like I said, I couldn't do it. I wasn't good at it. Whatever that even means. I don't even know what that means anymore. I hear other people say it too. Like it's like a limiting belief or something. I don't know, but I tried it years ago, and then I wanted to revisit it. And I started doing it. And there was a season where I was meditating when we were in lockdowns. I was meditating on the regular. Like it had almost become like a fixed habit, you know, for a season. But now it's just something that ebbs and flows in my life when I feel like I need it. I feel like putting your habits in these categories can be really helpful for you to remove the guilt and the shame from it, because you're not attaching this expectation that it has to be something that's done every single whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? So just sitting down and just thinking about all the habits that are in your life that you have literally created a habit. Like it's almost like automatic. Like you just do it. It's like you don't really have to think about it. It doesn't take much time for you to like, all right, we're meal prepping. I'm gonna meal prep. That's part of my weekly routine. Like I don't think about it. It isn't something that I like have to like talk myself into doing. Like I plan it into my groceries. Like it's a habit. It's a fixed habit. Think about what the fixed habits are in your life right now. Think about what some of the fluid habits might be in your life. Maybe you already have some fluid habits and you haven't really like, you know, given them a name, because who does that? There might already be some fluid habits in your life, but I think putting it into this frame of mind where it's okay for it to be fluid. It doesn't have to be this like rigid thing. It's just so freeing. And I just love the idea of it. You know, journaling, that was another one. Like going through a hard season in 2024, I really leaned into daily journaling. And now I can't remember the last time I journaled, but it saved me during that time. I'm like, okay, so I didn't fill out 365 days in my journal, but there's like a good season of the year where I filled it out every single day, and it served me so well. And, you know, I think that the thing is like, of course, we hear all these things like there are benefits to journaling every single day. There are benefits to meditating every single day. But is that realistic for us in this season, in this era that we're in? If it's not realistic, then take what benefits we can, you know? It's just like, I'll take 20% of the benefits versus 0% of the benefits, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's like such a freeing concept. Fluid habits have just brought so much more joy to my life, but they've also allowed me to just be more in tune with my own needs. Like, you have to be very intuitive to know when you need to take out those things out of your tool belt and start applying them into your life. You have to be in tune to know, like, life is stressful right now and I just need to do something to help manage this. I'm gonna start journaling twice a week. There has to be a level of self-awareness in order for that to happen. And so, you know, categorizing these goals and having that mindset around it, it almost forces you to have to be a little bit more self-aware, and then that also becomes a habit for you to like be more in tune with your needs, you know, your emotional needs or your physical needs. And I just think that that is just another benefit to all of this, and it can be so powerful in so many other areas of your life to just be more intuitive to the things that you need mentally and physically. So now I have such a better idea of like when I'm in a season that I need to lean on meditation more, or when I'm in a season where I need to prioritize journaling more. And I don't know, I just think that that's really cool. It's almost like getting to know yourself better. You get to be a source of providing comfort for yourself because you know how these things make you feel, and you might not be doing them every single day, but like being able to just treat yourself to those kind of things that give you a little something. I think it's just like a level of, you know, self-care. Like I'm worth taking 5 to 10 minutes out of my day to journal or meditate, and making the time and space for that because the season you're in requires it. I just wanted to share what really helps me when it comes to habits and routines. And I think that this overlying message of like allowing it to look like what it needs to look like for you is something that comes up for me so much. I feel like I talk about the same things a lot, but they just apply to so many areas of our lives, you know? I talk about it with content, like you get to do content in the way that feels good for you, and allowing yourself to experiment and do all those things, and being okay with it not going perfectly, and being okay with looking like a beginner, or just like, you know, just not being perfect with it, and then like be willing to show up while you're figuring it out, what feels good for you, what season you're in, what, like just being willing and being eager to find what works for you, I think is just so powerful in all that we do. And, you know, it applies to creating content, it applies to going after the goals in your life, and it applies to the habits and routines that we set up for ourselves. And whether you think you have a routine already or you don't, well, you do, because the habits that you are currently doing, whether you are getting up and you're snoozing and you're running out of the door without eating, or whether you're getting up and you're doing stretching, or you're getting up and you're going straight on your phone and then you feel like shit first thing in the morning, like whatever it is that you are currently doing to kick off your day is your morning routine. I think that a big part of this is having the courage to redefine what consistency looks like for you. Again, I think that it is so freeing to redefine what something looks like for you in your life, for you in whatever season you're in, not what it looks like for anyone else. Sally Sue, she might have the perfect 5 a.m. morning routine, doing meditation every single day. Good for her. I am genuinely happy for Sally Sue. But I am not Sally Sue. Okay, so I need to do what works for me and what serves me and what fills my cup. And you have to do that for yourself. So have the courage to redefine what consistency looks like for you. Have the courage to redefine what a habit looks like for you, and what a fluid habit looks like for you. And sit down and really flush out what habits are fixed in your life and what habits are you happy to be a little bit more fluid with. I can't tell you what those need to be. Only you know how you're going to feel if you pick this habit as a fluid habit versus a fixed habit. You know what I mean? Like, if meal prep for me was a fluid habit, I know it would not serve me. I know that it needs to be something that I'm sticking to consistently, and I show up as my best self when I do have meal prepping in my life. And it just sets me up for success. It is a habit that I don't always love doing, but every single time I do it, I am so grateful. So you need to figure out like what are those habits for you that you know you might not love like having them as a fixed habit, but you know they're serving you for the better. And then the ones that also serve you, but you're happy to have them as a fluid thing in your life. It's not like make or break if they aren't a regular thing in your life, and you reap the benefits from them from time to time. You need to do the work to define what those are for you. But let me know, is there a habit in your life that you tried in the past and maybe you've given up on because you weren't doing it the way that you felt like you needed to be doing it? Or let me know what are some of the fluid habits that you might be having in your life right now. Caring is sharing, and we're all working on this together. I would love to know what's working for you, what's not working for you. You know, we can help each other here in the comments, okay? If you found value in this video, please hit the like button to let me know. And thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and I hope to see you tuning in to another video soon. Bye!